Councilor Craig Cormier. Councilor Rhonda Cormier.
Present.
Councilor Derlowitz.
Present.
Councilor Harder.
Present.
Councilor Heath. Councilor Mack.
Present.
Councilor Sassone.
Present.
Councilor Tyros.
Present.
Councilor Walsh.
Present.
President Kuzinskis.
Present. For the public watching this evening, we are meeting informally tonight regarding agenda item number 1085885, an ordinance to amend the code of the City of Gardner, chapter 171 thereof, entitled Personnel, to change compensation schedule 1, yearly salaries, mayor and city councilors. This item was in the City Council and referred to the Finance Committee on January 17th, 2023, and referred to the Committee of the Whole on February 6th, 2023. Regarding tonight's informal meeting topic, we have included in our packet a letter and salary proposal from Councilor Mack from June 2022. The City Council voted at our August 1st, 2022 meeting to revisit this item in January 2023. I recently put in a new proposal to be considered in January 2023, and the City Council has a regular meeting at 7:30 this evening where we will have the opportunity to vote on this item if we choose. I would like to note that this item, the salary schedule, is being considered at this time per city ordinance. It is 171-66 yearly salaries established. I'd just like to read that for any of the public watching. The yearly salaries for the mayor, council president, city councilors, and various other positions shall be as set forth in Schedule 1, included in the end of this chapter, on or after January 1st of each odd-numbered year beginning in 2007. The Finance Committee of the City Council shall report to the Council as a committee of the whole its recommendations for adjustments, if any, to the salaries of the mayor and city councilors. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that we do have an actual city ordinance established for yearly salaries. The informal meeting discussion is now open. I do have some information I'd like to share about the proposal that's in the packet that I put forward at this time. Councilor Mack, I'd also like to give you an opportunity to speak about yours. I know you have before in the past, but if you'd like to do that too, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So with what we have in our packet, and I apologize, I know it says Exhibit A, B, and D. I do realize that C would normally come in order, but D is in there, so I apologize. There is no Exhibit C. But this represents a 1% increase for each year since the last time a pay raise was given, and 1% for each of the years of the upcoming term. The last pay increase for the mayor, the council president, city councilors, and school committee went into effect on January 2nd, 2018. The item that's before us would not go into effect until the new city government was sworn in on January 1st, 2024. Again, that's for the public watching. If we vote on this item this year, it doesn't affect the current council here. It affects the newly elected council, as we know, who would be sworn in on January 1st, 2024. What it adds is the acting mayor to the schedule in the event of a mayoral vacancy, which we saw 2 acting mayors in 2020. It compensates the position with the weekly pay the mayor would receive, since it would only be a temporary basis until the full position of mayor is filled and an election. So acting mayor only has that weekly salary because they'll be there until there's a mayor elected. And that's the reasoning behind this. The same raise was given to all positions across the board. And currently, the mayor's salary is $92,196. The raise, that again is over 1% from 2018 to 2024. Again, 2018 being the last time a raise went into effect. It's $7,640. So it's an 8.2% raise. That's what it looks like. But again, we have had no raises go into effect since 2018. Council president goes up by $887.15, as the current council president's salary is $10,707. and we're proposing $11,594.15. The city councilor raise would be $607.01, and that would be a difference of, currently it's $7,326, and it would go up to $7,933. And then the school committee currently makes $5,000. They would get a raise of $414.28. So their salary on my proposal is $5,414.28. So all of these reflect about an 8.2% raise. It does look like a lot. It is a lot. But it's, I think, over the amount of time since there's been a raise that's gone into effect, I think if this had been done in any of the previous years, it obviously wouldn't look like so much, but now it looks like a lot. Also, when you look at something like the mayor's raise being, in this proposal, $7,640, in the time that Mayor Nicholson, and I understand this salary is for the position and not the person, but being our current mayor, he's the example I'm going to use. There's been a lot of state funding, federal funding, types of grant funding that the department heads and under his administration have helped bring to the city, and they're a lot more than $7,640. So I think that could show that it would pay for itself in a way from the work that's done, even though federal and state money is taxpayer money, and it is money that we should be receiving for the city if we're applying for it and we're doing all we can do, the best job we can to get funding to take off our tax burden. It still shows that, by the work of the job that the mayor should do, and we've seen it since Mayor Nicholson's been in, we receive a lot of money in grant funding. Sitting around the council table, we have to vote to do matching a lot of time, and it's hard to do those large matches. You want to see what the state is giving us, but usually that percentage is such a small percentage of what we're getting from the state. So I think it's a way of me explaining that it pays for itself. With the council president raise, the city council raise, and the school committee raise, those are obviously a lot smaller figures, and those pay with themselves very easily with any types of those grants that we get where we have to approve a match, because we won't get that extra money, the rest of that money for the grant unless we do that. That also, I think, kind of shows that the job can pay for itself in that way and get much, much more than that for the taxpayers. So I totally, I support raises at this point. It's been a number of years since we've had one. I think we're in a good financial position to be able to do it, and I appreciate Councilor Mack bringing it up when she did, and I appreciate the time to explain what I've proposed to you, and certainly welcome any ideas, suggestions, amendments. This is just what I had originally thought of, and that's that. Questions, comments, suggestions, Councilor Mack?
I have some questions, but I think Councilor Mack deserves an opportunity.
No, thank you, Madam President. I just, first of all, I appreciate your proposal and the thought behind it. When I put my proposal together in June, I was just looking for a way to bring the mayor's salary up because it has been stagnant for so long. And we all know in comparison to other city salaries. And this was prior to the fact that we were going to look into a salary survey. So I wanted to put something on the table for us to start the conversation. What the city council and the school committee raises on my proposal were just the 2% cost of living raise. It was, trying to take the mayor's position and gradually over 3 years bring it up to where I felt that it deserved to be, instead of hitting the taxpayers with one large jump. It went over 3 years for 24, 25, and 26. I appreciate the fact of doing it for next year as we are doing the salary survey, and just to prepare for the next year ahead, because I don't personally believe that we can wait for that to occur in the fall, the way the charter is, and the way that we have to move on this. But without a doubt, as I'm just going to echo what the council president said, the position of the mayor has changed tremendously over the years. There's a lot of responsibility, and I just think it's the position, not the person, in order to get people to run for that position in the future, that we have to bring this up to where it belongs. Okay, and right now, you know, on the earnings report for the mayor to be, I think, number 74, in the 2022 earnings support speaks for itself. And, you know, I just want to explain, mine was 2% for exhibits A and D for the city council and the school committee. The mayor, what I did is I just took 15,000 and I spread it over a 3-year pay increase, which I felt was reasonable, but I do, without any hesitation, support Councilor Kaczynskis' proposal, because I do like the thought she put into it, because the mayor does deserve the same cost of living increase from 2018 to 2024 that everybody else within the city has received. And it's just fair and equitable to the position, and so regardless of the fact of whatever the council decides, I'm for either. And I look forward to hearing more discussion on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Walsh?
First, I have a question. You read the ordinance that applies to the process of review, and it's just to repeat, it says on or after January 1st of each odd-numbered year, which we're in, beginning in 2007, the Finance Committee of the City Council shall report to the Council as a committee of the whole, we're here now as a committee of the whole, its recommendations for adjustment, if any, to the salaries of the mayor and city councilors. What is the recommendation of the Finance Committee?
Counselor Corbett?
Council President presented this. We've received it like everyone has, but we have not, as a Finance Committee, taken any action upon it.
Well, I'm just reading what the ordinance seems to suggest is the process. And I don't mind talking about it now, but I think we should have a recommendation if we're going to comply with the ordinance. I have no quarrel with adjustments to the salaries of the mayor. Certainly the mayor's position is deserving of a significant adjustment, in my opinion. And what's been proposed is modest. Councilor salaries should be adjusted as well. I do have a quarrel, and I'm happy to see that the proposals that have been presented include a salary for the acting mayor, because there were some suggestions that a charter revision was required to do that. For the longest time, that we just have to list it as a salary item under the salary ordinance. While I do agree that it should be listed, and I'm happy that it is, I don't believe that acting mayor, as someone who has served on 2 separate occasions as acting mayor, once in 1989 and another time in 2020, I don't believe that the salary of the acting mayor should be the same as the elected mayor. And the reason for that is because it's short-lived, usually, except for 2020, when because of 2 separate postponements of the special election, there was a delay, and the duration of the acting mayor's term of office was much longer than it would be under normal circumstances. I know first time I was acting mayor was for 8 weeks until the end of the election, until Charlie Mencken was elected. My thought of that, and the other reason for it, I don't think it's appropriate to have it at the same, is that the authority of an acting mayor is limited to only those things that are not admitting of delay. Now, what that means will vary in every circumstance, but it is limited. And as a result, you don't have the same authority as mayor, and you weren't elected as mayor, to be mayor. So I believe that, and the way I've looked at it is, it's about a 75% of the mayor's responsibilities, and I would be supportive of the acting mayor's salary being done either annually or weekly, and I think weekly makes some sense given the relatively short duration in most circumstances, that it should be 75% of the mayor's the elected mayor's annual salary. It's my own view of it, but otherwise, the proposals as presented seem fine, but I'd be happy to receive the recommendation of the Finance Committee, which it appears the ordinance required.
Thank you, Counselor. I would certainly entertain, I'm sorry, Counselor.
I will gladly bring that up to restore it back to the Finance Committee's calendar so that we can take that action and will reflect probably the change that you suggested, because I agree with that in the Council President's salary. One thing that I wanted to bring up this evening is the good thing about doing this for 1 year, as opposed to 3 years, is that I would hope that in that time, we get salary reviews. And it's difficult to compare these positions to other communities as compared to, say, a fire chief or a police chief and so on. But the other problem we've had, and I've sat on this council along with Councilor Walsh for literally decades, and seen the same dilemma that we are facing this evening. We have to come up with a figure that seems inordinately large, because we haven't taken any action in 7 or 8 years. And shame on us. We've repeated that same sin, if you will, over and over and over again. And I would like to see that during the study, during the year, and if we take action on this for 1 year, that a system perhaps be established that could make sure that it's addressed either on an annual or biannual basis, so that we look at the cost of living or whatever, and we bring it up in small amounts that reflect inflation and so on. The other issue that we've always had, and I don't see it with this council in the past, unfortunately, whenever this comes up, it always comes up during an election year. And I've seen, and if you look at the minutes of other meetings, where it's reflected in the actions and reactions of people that are looking for votes. And I think we have to be beyond that. We are the representatives of the city. We unfortunately have to make this decision. Somebody out there is, I'm sure, going to say, well, leave it to the voters. Well, that is a nice thought, but not even close to being workable. But I think if in the coming year we could, in addition, try to find a formula, if you will, that would increase it incrementally so that we're not faced with this. The mayor, the council members, none of us might be here. Several of us on this council have known the agony of defeat over the years. We've not always been successful, and more than once, some of us have been on the outside looking in, myself included. So we're not voting on our own raise or the mayor's raise. We're voting on the position, and feel very strongly about supporting this. I do appreciate Councilor Walsh's comment on that, but we will bring it back to the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I support bringing it back to committee. It's by ordinance, as you said. It makes sense for us too. I think it's good that we're having committee of the whole before
The ordinance,
it goes back to us. Yep.
not a problem.
So thank you. Further discussion, comments?
I just-
Councilor Mack?
And just in light of what Councilor Cormier just said, because it can only be brought up, in an odd year. And that was my point of trying to get a 3-year, because I believe actually all city salaries should go on a step scale. I really do. I think it's something for years that needs to be addressed. But when it goes back to the Finance Committee, I would like to see this looked at maybe over a 2-year, because this is just 1 year, and we're not going to be able to look at it again until 2025. So my suggestion, regardless of what the salary survey is, I would recommend even at least for 2025, looking for a cost of living increase. So we've covered for at least the 2 years. So that would be my suggestion.
And we do have a little bit of time.
Yes.
We have until
October, I think.
October 1st.
October.
You cannot take action in the last 3
So,
months of the calendar year. But we do have time to fine tune this, if you will, and perhaps that's a point well taken. And maybe somebody will come up with a formula also that we could include, but prevent it from, I don't want to see this keep happening over and over again.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh?
If I may, just briefly, this ordinance was amended for the purpose Councilor Cormier raised, and that was so that it wouldn't be, so it would have to be taken up at least every 2 years, or not less than every two, well, not more than every 2 years in an odd numbered years. The salary ordinance, it's not all that long ago, maybe 8 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, this ordinance was amended to require that it be brought up
Okay.
in odd numbered years, to address that
I
very
think you and I
matter.
brought it up.
Might very well
We
be.
can have the clerk check on that, we'll find out.
So, I mean, I agree that for some people it's uncomfortable, for me it is not.
Thank you, Counselor. Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion, comments? Counselor Towers?
Thank you, Madam President. I largely agree with the other councilors this evening. I think this is an item that honestly should have been increased years ago. I think this item before us is largely a matter of catch-up. I think we should separate our minds from the salary review that's ongoing, just because I think this change is necessary, and I think jaws will probably hit the floor if we include the mayor and the council's salary in that salary study review. This is really something that should have been done a while ago, and I'm glad to see we'll take some action on it soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Anyone else? Further discussion, comments? Counselor Giselle?
Madam President, I would just like to comment that with all the listening to each counselor speak on this, and I feel bits and pieces in agreement with each and every one of my fellow counselors. I look forward to hearing what the Finance Committee has to present back to the full committee, and I definitely think it's like anything else. As you see, 2018, it may seem like yesterday, but it was a while ago, and for nothing to change since 2018, we need to, especially when you take a look at the mayor's salary, I think definitely have some opportunity there to realize an increase for sure.
Thank you, Counselor. Yeah, I think it's, Counselor Derlotz?
Yeah, just quickly, I mean, if we don't take action this time, it's gonna be 8 years, because then it's gonna be 2026 before it changes. It's kind of the same point everyone else has made, but you keep kicking the can and it gets larger and larger every time you wait on this, and people wonder, why it's such a big raise. Well, you didn't do anything for, at that point, it'll be a decade almost. So it's our job, we've been elected to make this decision. As Councilor, I think, Walsh said, some people may think it's a hard decision, but it's a decision that we're here to make, and the point was made by many people. It's for the position, and the election's coming up this year, so the opportunity for other people to take on the role is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Further discussion, comments? Any further discussion or comments? Okay, if there's nothing further, thank you all. And we will close this part of the meeting, reconvene at 7:30 for our regular meeting. Thank you.